Damon Martin, MMA fighting. I'm here with one of the biggest winners in all of mixed martial arts because he is coming off a submission victory over Darren Till to put himself into title contention. Welcome back today, the great Derek Brunson. Derek, welcome back and congratulations on an amazing victory.
Hey, thanks for having me, Damon.
Absolutely. I know I texted you right after the fight, but I'll say it again now. It's about damn time people put some respect on your name.
It's about time, man. You know, I've been putting in a lot of work for a lot of years. As you know, we date back to like Strike Force. So like, man, finally get a little bit of respect. You know, we still have work to do.
Yeah. It's funny. We talked before the fight and you know, I was shocked you were an underdog. I didn't understand it. And I think deep down you didn't understand it either, but you kind of laughed it off in a pre-fight interview. Like you didn't let it bug you or anything, but obviously that was a pretty dominant performance. I mean, you almost stopped him in round one. Obviously you came out, you had a strong round two, got your takedown, and then obviously you finished him in round three. I mean, obviously it was a pretty dominant performance. Did it go kind of the way you expected it to go? Did you expect him to be a little tougher? Like how did it play out versus your expectation?
It's funny, man. I always expect myself to like roll everybody, but always the fight don't go like that, you know? So like, I guess I have high expectations of myself, but you know, I thought, and I knew that like, if I didn't do certain things, the fight could have been a little bit harder. Like if I didn't put that much damage on Till in the first round, like he would have came out fresh in the second round. And, you know, he's dangerous on the feet, man. The guy, he's pretty good on his feet. He created a lot of distractions, a lot of feints, a high pace, keeps you guessing. So yeah, man, I felt that first round was very important to set the tone.
Yeah. Were you surprised he survived the first round? Because there were a couple of moments there where I thought maybe, you know, a couple more punches, it might have been stopped. I scored it a 10-8 round. I thought it was pretty dominant, but were you surprised he actually survived that?
Man, like I said, at this highest level, man, you got to expect anything, you know, but I know that like it's very important to be in shape and really put damage on guys and keep punching, keep looking for submissions and stuff like that so you can finish the fight, because at this level guys aren't just going to quit or fall over. You got to make them quit or, you know, force the refs to stop the fight.
Yeah. Now I'll give credit where credit's due. Darren showed in the second round a little bit of good, you know, he showed some takedown defense. He kind of shrugged you off a little bit, you know, got you in the clinch, avoided it. You eventually got him down and kind of, you know, did your thing. I think that kind of speaks to the tenacious nature of wrestling. You know, you don't give up just because you don't get your first takedown. But did that impress you? The fact that, you know, he did make a little bit of an adjustment. Obviously, in the end, it didn't work. But like I thought he did, you know, he did show some differences between round one and round two.
Yeah, no, that's a part of, you know, the fight game and make it a transition. You know, you don't have to be a All-American wrestler, but you have to be able to train everything and be able to slow things down. And if you get taken down, get back to your feet. Yeah, he did a couple good defenses at times, you know, and it's just a matter of him watching the film and understanding where to like give more effort and make those adjustments and get better at defending stuff to, you know, ultimately stop the takedown altogether.
Yeah. When you told me before the fight, you said, listen, on the feet, I'm confident I can throw punches with this guy. I can strike with him. But we both agreed the ground game is where it became a bit more of a mismatch. You're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, All-American wrestler. We all know your credentials. We all know your credentials, Derek. Did you feel that in the fight? Like when you got him down, did you feel that nature of it being more of a mismatch?
Yeah, man, I like my chances on the ground with anyone. You know, a lot of people don't know how good my BJJ skills are or my ground and pound. So, yeah, I'll let it be known. And when I get a fight to the ground, I'll look to work.
Yeah. Talk me through that third round because, you know, credit to Derek. He threw a couple good punches, but you kind of, at the post-fight press conference, I won't say you laughed it off, but you kind of said, look, I was never in trouble. You know, he never hurt me or anything. I was just waiting for the right moment to set up my takedown, which obviously you got. And then, of course, you got the finish. But did he do anything on the feet that I won't say hurt you, but caught you off guard or really surprised you?
Well, like I said, he was very tricky. You know, he keeps a high pace. And it's funny enough, I watched his teammate right before in the co-main event, the heavyweight. And it was it probably was a bad thing because they fight the exact same. So I was like, I cannot do what the other guy let. Aspinall, is that his name?
Aspinall, yep, Aspinall.
Yeah, I can't let Till do exactly what Aspinall did because they fight the exact same. The guy just let Aspinall dictate the pace, back him up, and he just fired whenever he wanted to. And that's how Till fights. You know, he want to back you up, and he's going to fire that left hand. Back you up, fire that left hand and keep you guessing. So that was a factor, was just make sure that I'm paying attention, keep my eyes open, and be offensive. You know, he came in a couple times and threw his double jab cross, and I met him with a left hand over the top. Didn't connect, but I let him know that like he wasn't going to be backing me up the whole time. And then, you know, my counters led to my wrestling open up. You can't just shoot on someone and think that's enough. You got to set it up with hands, and you got to be a threat in the hands to open up the legs.
Yeah. A couple of fights ago, we talked after you finished Edmund Tarverdian on the ground with Edmund Shabazian with strikes on the ground. You finished him with the ground and pound. And I know we've talked about your ground and pound before. It's pretty vicious. You have some of the most vicious ground and pound in all mixed martial arts. But you mentioned, you are a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Did it feel good to get a submission win, to choke him out the way you did?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I definitely want to rep that Renzo Gracie Academy. So, yeah, to get some submissions, you know, I saw myself getting triangles. I even thought like a heel hook. Like nobody know about my jiu-jitsu game or like what I can do like off of my back or with my submissions. So, like, yeah, man, I was thinking like submissions the whole time, you know, just being able to get that, you know, kind of shake the fight up, show some new wrinkles.
Yeah. If you had gone out there and beaten Darren Till in a lopsided 5-round decision, that would have been impressive. If you would have gone out there and won a split decision, it would have been impressive because we all know Darren Till's a tough customer. But how much of a statement does it make that you went out there, dominated him for, the majority of the fight? And again, I don't want to disrespect him and say he didn't have a couple of good moments, but for the most part, it was a pretty lopsided performance in your favor. And then to go out there and choke him out and submit him the way you did, like how big of a statement is that for you to do that against a guy in Darren Till who went to split decision with Kelvin Gastelum, who we all know is tough, and went to a pretty close decision with Robert Whittaker? A couple of people actually scored that fight for Darren Till. So to do what you did, what kind of a statement do you believe that made?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, and a fan alluded to, sent me a message like, hey, you know, you got Whittaker who's fighting for the title next, who didn't finish Darren Till, you know, and like you said, I went out there and, you know, handedly just won all the rounds, you know, and dominated the rounds. And then I was able to get the finish. So you talk about a guy who's fighting for a title that fought him recently, his last fight, and he didn't get the finish. And then also Darren Till, who almost beat Whittaker, dropped him a couple of times in a tough, close fight. Till has a win over him. So, you know, it definitely was a huge statement for sure.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to talk to Darren after the fight?
I right after the fight, I did. You know, I went up to him, said, you know, thanks for the fight. Good fight, man. Like, tough customer, man. You're young. You got a lot of time. But anything after that, no, I didn't. But yeah, that was the extent of it.
You can't get in your opponent's head. It's not your job to get in their head and, you know, how they're going to react to a loss. But maybe you've seen a couple of people have said maybe Darren should, go back to welterweight. Now, I kind of disagree because when Darren fought at welterweight, he was killing himself. I mean, we've all seen the video. I mean, he literally was, murdering his body to get down to 170. And there's no shame in losing to you, Derek. You're one of the best guys in the world. There's no shame in the world losing to you. He can bounce back from this. But as a guy who's been in there and felt his strain, felt his punches, things like that, do you believe Darren Till truly is a middleweight? Because I do. I just don't think there's anything wrong with losing to you. Like, that's just part of the sport.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's definitely, he got some sting in his punches. He's strong enough in the clinch, I would just say I just had the better moments that night, and I mixed it up well, but, if he could have imposed his will more, then, maybe we're looking at a different fight. But I don't think strength, size, or speed was a factor. And yeah, no, I think he's perfect size for a middleweight, But a lot of people ask me my whole career, can I fight 170? And they like, you sure you can't make 170? I'm like, bro, yeah, let's say I could, but that would be the worst living of my life. And like, bro, I would never, ever try to make 170. It just wouldn't be like, life wouldn't be enjoyable. And like, it take the fun out of sports and training and, everything. So just not worth it.
Yeah. If anything, I would say, hey, you could probably make waves at 205. Like, I can see you packing on a few pounds to do 205, more likely 170.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd rather go 205 than 170. I mean, that would happen first, for sure.
Yeah. So now, with that being said, Derek, we all know, the story after the fight. It was such a huge win. It puts you right where you want to be in terms of title contention. Now, we talked before the fight, and we know Israel is going to fight Robert Whitaker, and you acknowledge that, and you're completely okay with that. You understand that. But you told me beforehand, you said, I don't care who wins. I got to get revenge on somebody because obviously you have past fights with them. But come on now. I like Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker is an incredibly nice guy, great champion in his own right. But we saw the heat between you and Israel after the fight. We saw what Israel was saying. Let me start there. Did you read Israel's tweets and did you at least get a kick out of it? Because he's paying attention. He's paying attention now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even before the fight, he said something like, I gave you guys a blueprint or something like that. Even before the fight, he had his picture of me or video of him kicking me. So like, if we get back to who started this, whenever we get deep into it, we know that Izzy started this. I'm a responder and I know my abilities. And I know like in the first fight, a lot of my coaches are like, are you okay? Like, were you injured? What was going on? Because I've never seen you get body locks on somebody so many times and not take them down. Like I had Izzy gripped up, body lock, clenched up maybe like 4 or 5 times and had a single leg and he was just squirmed out, And that was just on me in terms of my preparation. I had a hurricane I was dealing with. I didn't train for 2 weeks. That was the first phase where I went from being really strong and I stopped lifting weights for like 2 years. So like, that's something like, okay, that was a trial and error period in my career. And especially when I was fighting Izzy, I was like, I don't need to lift weights. I'm fighting Izzy. So really I can try this out. So I was getting to my positions. I just wasn't able to finish. So it was like a combination of a lot of things, which are no excuses. But now we look back and we're like, oh, okay. So that's why we didn't react so properly. So like in a rematch, we're very confident what we can do and, know the threat that we pose.
Yeah. Let me ask to that point. I kind of mentioned this to you beforehand, but your focus was on Darren Till, and now we can talk about it after the fact. The way you've been fighting and the way you've been performing, give me a sense of what the biggest difference would be in an Israel Adesanya rematch with the title on line in a 5-round fight. Because obviously you didn't have that the last time. It was a 3-round fight. He wasn't the champion yet. But now you get that rematch with Israel Adesanya. What's different? What happens differently?
What happens differently is we don't have a hurricane. If we do have a hurricane, I'm going to relocate to somewhere else that doesn't have a hurricane. I'm going to make sure I'm going to be lifting weights. I was a trial and error period of my life so that I'm able, and my strength and conditioning is going to be on point so that I'm able to finish takedowns and to grab people and people not squirm out. It's muscle conditioning. Like small things make a difference in these big fights, Kudos to him. He took advantage of it. But I know like in a rematch, I know what I can do. I know I can take anybody down. I know his wrestling and his grappling isn't up to mine. So like given the opportunity, once it hits the ground or even on the feet, I don't rule myself out on the feet. I've knocked Lyoto Machida out a lot. I knocked Uriah Hall out, great strikers. So I don't rule myself out on the feet. But I know, given a chance on the ground, I'm looking to do mass damage. I'm looking to finish the fight. I'm looking to get him out of there, So he's going to be tested like he's never been tested before where, he fought Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz, just was content with controlling him. I'm going to be looking to finish.
Yeah. Is there any part of you, you mentioned Israel talked about the blueprint, the quote unquote blueprint to fight you. Did Jan Blachowicz, did he give a little bit of a blueprint of how to beat Izzy in terms of putting him down on the ground and controlling him in terms of the wrestling? Because Jan is a powerhouse. I mean, that guy's a monster. Don't get me wrong, but he's not known as a wrestler. Like that's not right. He's not known for that. We all know the legendary Polish power. He's known for his knockouts and he's got great jiu-jitsu, but he's not known as a wrestler. And he was able to get Izzy down and do that. Now we know you are a wrestler and I've called you the best wrestler in the middleweight division. Do you believe that is a bit of a blueprint? Like if you get him down, Izzy won't get back up again.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's been what I've known with everybody, with myself. I was just so mad and frustrated after the first fight. Even as soon as I go back to the locker room, it's like we didn't execute. We just blew a lot of moments. I know once I grab people, they don't get away. I know that I could chain attacks together. And I didn't do that in that fight. And it was all solely on my preparation. And that's why that was the last training camp that I spent at home. In the comfort of my bed and with my family, how everything is super nice. I had to go down and grind so that I could be ready for these big fights.
Absolutely. Now, let me go back to what I said earlier. You told me it didn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll fight either one of them. And I'm quite sure that is still the mentality. If Robert Whitaker becomes champion, you'll gladly fight him. But let's be honest, Derek, at this point, back of your head, a little bit, you're rooting for Israel Adesanya, aren't you? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to be fair about it, yeah, I'm rooting for Adesanya. You know, nothing more than to beat that guy. You know, I still have that. I have the fight in my head. I have the memory of him giving me the middle finger after Herb Dean broke us. So, like, you know, I have to recreate that scene. And however I got to do it, I'm willing to do it. You know, even I put a tweet up yesterday that my perfect ideal situation is fighting him in New Zealand, in Auckland, where he lives at, you know, in his backyard. You know, that's how I want to get this job done. That's the statement that I want to leave, you know.
Yeah. Now, if you do that, you know you're going to have like Ali or somebody's going to hire you some extra security to get out of the country, right? You do know that.
It's whatever, man. I fought that. Man, they love me low key, man. I fought Dan Kelly down there. That's their countryman. But you know, I know Izzy's a little different. That's their champion. But yeah, man, it is what it is. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm mentally focused, and yeah, we need to take that step.
Yeah. Now, after the fight, you know, immediately after you talked about, you know, you're willing to wait, and you said, "I'm not broke. I can wait. You know, I have no problem." And we don't know the date of Israel and Robert Whitaker. I've heard rumors of January. You know, I don't think they want to push it back much further because it was supposed to be in like November. So I can't imagine they're going to wait till like February or March to run that out. So let's just say January timeline. Are you going to at least wait for that fight to happen before you decide what's next? Like, I know you said, hey, maybe Cannonier, you know, maybe, but ideally you want your title shot. There's already buzz going. We know that if Israel wins, you know, you jumping into the next title fight makes all the sense in the world. So my question is, will you at least wait for that fight to happen before you truly decide what's next?
I think that's a fair assessment or the smartest thing to do. Somebody can get injured. I mean, like, I just feel like something's about to go down to where it's my opportunity. Like, I just have that feeling. Like, that's why I'm not rushing to make anything. Like, I know I'm deserving of a title shot. I've won 5 in a row. I haven't lost in like 3 years. The last fight was against Izzy. Marvin Vettori lost to Izzy, won some fights, got the fight back. You know, Whitaker lost to Adesanya, won 2 fights, got the fight back. You know, so like, that's how I'm looking. You know, I've won 5 fights, you know, more than anybody's won to get back to the opportunity. So I'm looking at this as, hey man, this is my opportunity. This is my chance. I've earned it. So yeah, I don't want to squander anything, but at I want to wait and see when the fight gets booked and know exactly what's going on before I make any decision.
Yeah, it would almost be a bad career move to see it get booked in January and then maybe some crazy happens. Israel gets a first round knockout and you're booked in like March and then you're stuck because, you know, you could get a title shot right away, but then you're fighting again. You know, that's how the sport works. Like I said, and it's already September. It's not that far away. You know what I mean? Like, we're probably 3 months away from the title fight. So, you know, sitting out for 3 to 5 months, that's what you normally do anyhow.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that gives me plenty of time to shore up everything that I want to shore up and get all the stand-up training. I can travel around, I can train. I can really just be locked in and get ready, you know, for that fight, you know, and to make the most of the moment and do what I know I can do.
Yeah. Now, coming up in October, we have the title fight between Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira, and Yuri Prohaska, the #1 contender at light heavyweight, is going to serve as the backup. They brought him in just in case. Unfortunately, that's the world we're living in, you know, and Yuri is probably next in line, but he's going to go through the weight cut. He's going to get ready just in case. If they book that fight in January, I know it's a lot of what ifs, but are you willing to serve as the backup for the title fight? Like, are you willing to go through that kind of weight cut and get ready just in case if they offer you that, just knowing there is a chance you could jump in and fight Whitaker or Adesanya in January? Like, would you be willing to put yourself through that?
Yeah, I talked to Ali. You know, that was something I discussed. I told him yesterday, like, hey man, let's talk to something. Let's get this ball rolling, because like I said, I want my opportunities. I want my hard work to be working towards something. You know, I spent the money, I sacrificed the time these last 3 years or so, and put myself in a good position. And I needed for it to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people mentioned the Cannonier fight, and I think that would be a tremendous fight. But, you know, Jared's coming off a loss to Whitaker. He had to win, obviously, over Kelvin, but he's on a 1-fight win streak. I think Jared's, you know, nice guy, incredible fighter. But again, I don't think it would make any sense to book that fight now when we know the title fight's coming up. You could potentially jump in the title fight in January, or, you know, depending on how that fight plays out, you could jump right into a title fight after that. So like, I'm just a big believer in wait till the title fight happens, then figure out what's next. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many unknowns.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. You know, I mean, that's my mindset also, is just see what happens. You know, a lot of my career, I've been so like overzealous, but like, there's no harm in just wait and see how things play out. You know, I've been in a position twice. If I would have won, I would have got a title shot, you know, and I didn't seize the moment. I think it was always like in the fight, I was rushing to get another fight. I was rushing instead of just letting it play out a little bit. You know, I'm right there in striking range, and, you know, somebody might get COVID, you know, I mean, I don't hope anybody get COVID. Somebody might get injured. So like, definitely I need to be there ready for that moment.
Yeah. It's kind of scary though, Derek. You know, when we first talked years ago, when you were first coming into mixed martial arts from wrestling, you had all the potential in the world, but you were very much learning on the job. You were basically learning how to be a fighter while you were in freaking Strike Force, which is crazy to think about. All these years later, you're now where you're at. I feel like you truly are in the prime of your career. Like, I know you had close moments before going into that Whitaker fight. You know, all these times you had moments, but I feel like right now is the best you've ever been. Do you feel like right now you're ready to become a champion? Like, does that make sense when I say that? Like, if you would have done it 4 years ago, maybe you would have won. I don't know. I can't say what would have happened in that title fight, but like, do you feel like now, truly right now, you are the best you've ever been and you're ready to be a champion?
Yeah, for sure. Life is about moments and timing, and this sport is about timing. Some people had easier roads to a title fight than I have, you know, but yeah, I feel like right now, you know, I get it. I understand the sport. I understand how to fight in the rounds. I understand how to take my time. I understand when to switch it up, when to strike, when to grapple, how to keep people guessing. So yeah, you know, now is the time. You know, I feel like a complete fighter, and that I can articulate a full fight and win a championship fight.